Hola amigos, and welcome back to another episode of La Vida Verde podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Human, here at Vida Verde, and my guest this week is my brother, Joey Carpenter. Joey is a builder, he's a family man, and he describes himself as just another sensitive man navigating this crazy world. We're going to talk about what that means. It's going to be a great episode. We hope you enjoy. This episode of La Vida Verde podcast is sponsored by Guillaume Cellier, with masterful hands offering instant relief, your personalized massage at home. Joey Carpenter, welcome to La Vida Verde podcast, my brother.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Finally get to do it.
You were kind of like, I invited you the other day, and you were kind of like, I don't have a story. I'm just a normal guy, which is what I love about you, Joey. You're more than just a normal guy, but you're humble. You're humilde, which I appreciate. And what do you want to say? No, you're getting ready. Okay, you're getting ready to actually leave for a little while.
Yeah, it's my intention to go back to California and make some real money.
Make some real money
for the next year so I can build. I was approaching Norm about a loan, and he was able to do it, but I talked to other people more financially astute than I, and they said without having an income, it's not very smart to take a loan. And so I took that advice, and
Good.
I'm going to go back and make enough money to build this next year.
Yeah, because you guys have been here for what, 4 years now? 3 years?
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
And you started in Ecovilla.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we got here. Well, okay, so for 2 years we lived in Vida from 2016 to the end of 2018, and then moved back to California for a year because I couldn't get steady work there.
This is a theme.
But I couldn't. It's the nature of building, being in that sort of caste, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's not a high income job. It's not steady either. It's like it's a gig based thing, right?
It's gig based. There is potential to make money, but there's a lot of other factors, like depending on other people is a really important factor. Mm-hmm. And then when you first move to a place, you don't have those established relationships, and so it becomes a sort of a thing.
Right.
But I did learn bamboo, and so people call me who want to build with bamboo around here.
Oh yeah, I've seen some of the things you built. They're beautiful. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, right across the street is one of them.
Right across the street. That's right.
So let's go back, because there's a lot I want to talk to you about, like people who know you, and not, our audience isn't just Valley based, so we need to keep this in mind.
Right.
But those of people who live here know you as a family man. You and Suzanne have been a couple here you have 2 kids.
Yeah. My daughter was born here.
Creed and Vida. Vida was born here.
Yeah.
Veda's one of my I love her. She's my Taurus sister. A little bright light, she is.
Yeah.
You must miss them a little bit.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Because Suzanne went back to the U.S.
Right.
a month or 2 ago?
Yeah, the end of June. So they go back on an annual summer vacation in between the school break. And then, I don't know, Suzanne just noticed that they were all a lot happier, and their nervous systems they were just feeling a lot more peace.
Some people
between them all.
Some people have that there. Yeah, it's funny. I don't. I'm like, Costa Rica, get me out of the United States.
Right. Yeah. Well, there was a broader theme going on with Suzanne and Creed, especially, of not feeling that belonging with the greater culture. And
interesting.
And they're feeling that there back in California.
They're feeling like these are our people, kind of thing.
Right.
Oh.
Right. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, let's talk. We'll get to all that. I want to talk a little bit about where you're from. Like, where did you grow up?
I grew up
Sorry, this
in
freaking
I
mosquito
know.
won't leave you alone.
I grew up in Visalia, California.
Oh, Visalia.
Yeah.
I have a friend in Visalia.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
Hardeep. Hardeep's the most amazing Punjabi chef I know.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, yeah. If you go back there, I'll hook you up.
All right. I don't know of a Punjabi restaurant. Maybe you should open one.
He should. Yeah. Well, in India, here in Costa Rica, there's a bunch. All the restaurants are Punjabi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. But anyways.
Yeah, anyway, so it was very much a country upbringing. I had across the street from my house, it was either corn or cotton monocrop, but they did rotate crops, and surrounded by walnut trees. My grandfather did walnuts and honey, and so it's very much a farming community, very conservative redneck. Like, at lunch in high school, we would go out with our 22s and shoot squirrels and then go back to class.
God. Yeah, it's funny. People don't think of California as they think of California, surfer, LA. They don't think of the country of California, which there's a lot of the state which is just desert and country folk kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of that. I mean, we've got the whole state of Jefferson movement, the ones who secede.
Right.
Whereas in COVID, it kind of split the left where I was like, I'm so liberal. I'm identifying with the conservatives now, with those who are full on sovereignty.
Right. State of Jefferson, for those people who don't know,
libertarians
it was a movement that Northern California and Southern Oregon would split off into their own sovereign state. And that's actually old. That goes back I think over 100 years. It's that's an old movement.
I did not
But now
realize
it's kind of had its resurgences over time.
Yeah.
But it's the Free State of Jefferson is what they called it. Anyways.
Yep.
Okay, so are you identified with that movement or?
This more sovereignty and libertarian.
Okay.
Yeah,
libertarianism in politically is that kind of riding that line in between. Yeah, it's liberalism and conservative. Yeah. Anyway,
form a group.
So you can vote for
Hands
Joe.
off.
Who you vote for, Joe?
RFK. No.
Okay, well he's not on the bill anymore.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah,
I'll resign myself to stay out of it.
He joined the Trump camp. Yeah. Okay, so
anyway, yeah, that's where I grew up, and.
Was your family were they in California for a long time? Do you know how?
Just 2 generations. My grandparents remember coming over when they were young kids in the Dust Bowl as fruit pickers.
Right.
For California, the Central Valley in California supplies 80% of the U.S.'s produce.
Right.
So, and it's just miles of oranges, miles of walnuts. It's just. Yeah, lots and lots of that.
Yeah, that middle of the state right there is that is the breadbasket of the United States, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so you grew up there, and then what happened?
Well, I moved after traveling. I rode my bicycle across the U.S. when I was 19.
Wow.
With my brother, cousin, and one of our friends from school.
Just on a whim, or you planned it for a while?
We planned it for a couple months. Yeah, we all took the spring semester off of school and started with our back tires in Mission Bay, San Diego, and ended riding into the ocean in Virginia Beach.
Wow.
It took 3 months.
So you took a southern route.
Route 66.
You took Route 66.
And then
iconic.
From Amarillo.
Amarillo.
What
is this? This Texas Amarillo, not Amarillo.
Yeah, through the Panhandle. I actually have family up in Enid, Oklahoma, and so we went and saw them and continued on through southern Kentucky. I had an uncle who works at a university there.
Okay.
And then right through.
Which university? Murray State?
It's a very small Christian, way up in the mountains, in the border between Tennessee and Kentucky.
Okay.
So we went through land between the lakes and.
That's beautiful land in there. Yeah. I know that area really well.
Up the Appalachians, and then Blue Ridge Parkway, and then.
Oh man!
Straight down.
That's such a beautiful all that.
Yeah.
And then you get into eastern Kentucky. There's the Davy Crockett National Forest, and the arches, the Red Rock. They have rock formations there that are crazy.
Oh wow!
Did you guys encounter any bad weather, or was it just you chose really good timing?
We chose really good timing. We had some major wind in Amarillo, where we couldn't ride through, so we actually hitchhiked with a semi truck. And they got us through it. I don't even remember where they dropped us, but
Dude, that whole area of the United States, the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma, that is absolutely, I've been stuck in hail, snow, ice, like the absolute worst weather.
oh yeah.
So it's an intense, that area can get intense.
Yeah, so I have a degree in geography
Oh,
from San Francisco State, and
Okay.
and that's a eastern slope from the Rockies. That's the effect.
that's why.
Yeah, it's the mixing of the warm water current with no mountains in between rushing up, and then the non-moist air rushing down from the Rockies and mixing right there,
Oh,
swirling around.
wow. You learned that in geography?
Yeah.
Why'd you get into geography?
I wanted to make maps. I wanted to be
Oh.
a map maker, and then there was a lot of GIS involved, which is global information systems. It's like AutoCAD for map layering. And I was also working in construction. I was waiting tables, working in construction, working for a moving company during college to pay for college. And the money in construction was just so good, I just stayed in the industry.
And you were building what? What kind of stuff were you building?
I was working for a guy who was doing spec houses in between Half Moon Bay and San Francisco. Just
What's
on
a
the
spec
coast.
house?
Where he would design and build his own houses and then sell them right away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. See, like he was like an investment house kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Interesting.
And he was sort of a genius, so we got to do a lot of really cool stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, one of our jobs was working on Pier 3, the Hornblower Pier in San Francisco, where we were rehabbing it. So we built these flotillas and went under the pier at low tide, even if it was at 4 a.m, with jackhammers with 1-inch air hoses, and we're on these flotillas jackhammering concrete
Wow.
under the pier. Yeah.
Wow.
It was
Some wild, fun experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've had a lot of you like a variety of. Because you've also started building around here. Now you're working with bamboo.
Yeah. So I have some concrete experience there. I was building these boutique barns from Vermont in California for wineries up in Napa, and there's
From Vermont, like they were rebuilding them. Tearing them
no,
down,
it was a
building them?
company from Vermont
Oh, okay. I see.
called Geo Barns, and they're these boutique barns, and
Okay.
there's an industry for that.
They were custom made though, or
Yeah, well, we made them, and it's just giant wood sandwiched in between even bigger wood, and lots of big bolts. And that's why I think I got into bamboo, is because bamboo is a lot of bolting things together and understanding the engineering of it all. What was special about these barns is that you could span 40 feet without having a post in the middle. And that's what people like, because they've got tractors and they don't want posts in the middle obstructing movement.
right.
And so I got to learn about the engineering of all, how that is possible, and bamboo fits so perfectly
Oh, cool.
in that.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And we'll talk more about that then. You also met Suzanne when you were in San Francisco, right?
That's right. We
Okay.
met in a water resources class. Yeah. And then
Did you
the
know at
rest is
that time
history.
that she would be the mother of your children? Was it love at first sight?
I didn't. It was just about love at first sight. Yeah, I made her a CD.
A
Remember when-
mixtape.
I
You
made
made
her
her
a
a mixtape. Yeah, baby.
Yeah, and it was right around her birthday, and then we hung out, and then and she got to study abroad in New Zealand. So that was my last year. I had graduated.
Or what,
May.
early 2000s or?
It was 2006.
Okay.
Yeah, and then she went to study abroad in New Zealand, and asked if I wanted to come with her, and I did. And so we lived in New Zealand for a year.
Okay.
In Christchurch.
Oh.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It was really cold.
That's your takeaway from New
Really
Zealand?
cold.
It's cold in there.
It was beautiful. I mean, it was a South Island, so it was fun. It was really slow culture. It's kind of like a mix between the Western world and Costa Rica. There's a real sense of a slower pace of life, which I really liked.
Yeah, honestly, Joey, your energy always calms me a little bit. You kind of have this excuse me, there's this slowness to you that I appreciate, like your calm, slow nature. Yeah, I do. I appreciate
thanks for
that.
that.
So when you said, let's talk about this, what does it mean that you said you wanted to bring, and you've got two kids. So when did Veda, was
Yeah.
Veda, or not Veda, Creed was
Creed.
or over in
Yeah.
New Zealand, or you guys came back?
No, so we were back here, and Suzanne was nannying while she was going to college for this woman who worked for Center Camp Cafe at Burning Man,
Okay.
and asked her if she wanted to come be was it a fluffer or
What is?
the fluffers?
Yeah, what are
they
they?
go around and keep everybody happy
Okay.
about their jobs.
Okay, got it. Yeah, fluffing. Got
There's
it.
the fluffing, or no, she was a wrangler. So the wrangler goes out and gets volunteers to come fill shifts for the coffee shop.
Okay.
Basically, when they used to have they used to sell coffee. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know, they killed it.
I didn't know they killed it.
They killed it 2 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. The Borg took over.
The Borg?
The Borg.
What's
The
the-
org when they became the corporation.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah. I've stayed out of Burning Man. I've been on the
Okay.
periphery. I actually never went. I had a lot of judgments about it. We'll save that for another podcast. I think ecologically there was just a lot of and socially, but anyways,
Yeah.
a lot of our friends are at Burning Man right now and or leaving Burning Man right now. So,
Right.
I can't complain. A lot of good stuff has come out of it. I'm
doll.
not always right about things. So okay, so you Burning Man
Yeah, so that was 2010,
Uh-huh.
and then and I got on as a carpenter for decor.
Okay.
And so
for Center Camp.
for Center Camp, and I'd be out there 2 weeks before it started and stay there 1 week after it ended. So I'd be out there an extended period of 4 weeks, and did that for 5 years in a row.
Wow.
And yeah, Creed was actually conceived out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Creed
Yeah,
was conceived out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and some years later, Veda was also conceived out there, right?
Well, yeah, that was on a near Mono Lake. We were on a camping trip near Mono Lake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So they're both from the eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevadas.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so Creed's special, man. Creed and Veda are both super. I love them both. They're just sweet
Yeah.
kids. I do miss them being around, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what brought you
All right. So
here?
yeah. So Suzanne and I were looking for a community. We're looking for a place with like-minded folks, a chosen family, so to speak. And so when I was in Napa building barns, we decided that year that we would go around to all the different communities, California, Oregon, East Coast, wherever, to try to find that place. Creed was 2 years old at that point, and a friend of mine from Burning Man, he was the cafe manager, Kai Ocean. He's got the security job contract for Envision,
Okay.
and he put the call out, does anybody want to come out? And we were like, yeah, let's go check it out. And then we went there, and I was doing security, but I was also helped build family camp, and I met a bunch of amazing families that live up in the Diamante Valley.
Okay.
A lot of them were from Canada. And
Envision is, for those of you who don't know, is our Costa Rican festival. It's kind of probably
our
the
regional burn
kind of, except it's commercial.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's vibey. It's vibing in the same world.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like the festival. It's the same festival, but there's an ocean. So it's the one with the ocean. There's one with the desert.
Yeah. Okay.
So then we were like, wow, this is great. We love it. There's enough autonomy and community at the same place. And so we went back and we packed everything up, got rid of everything, and moved to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And
That's why you were in Evita for a couple of
that's
years.
how we got to Vida.
And you did security at Burning Man or at Envision?
Yeah, I was on the security team.
What was the craziest thing that happened? What were you doing as a security? Was it pretty just checking bracelets and stuff?
No, it wasn't even really checking bracelets, although there were a couple busts of tents with fake bracelets.
Oh.
that kind of stuff. But it was mainly
don't try and fool the vision folks.
That's
yo.
right. It was mainly helping people find their way while they were on drugs. Helping calm them down, being a shoulder they could lean on, being just a presence while they were flipping out.
Okay, so was this before like the harm? Wasn't there like Zendo, like the like,
that was before that.
So security was handling all that. Like the
Yeah.
Zendo kind of took over the dude's freaking out, need him to like
Yeah.
because some people do go too far, take drugs and go too crazy. Like it's a freedom. It's a lot about exploration and freedom. This festival, it's not all about drugs, but some people go there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of insecurities and demons they have to face within themselves interpersonally, and sometimes they need just somebody there, even if they don't know them.
And you have experience with this yourself? Have you faced those demons,
No.
Joey
Yeah,
Carpenter?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
With
oh my gosh.
psychedelics?
Yeah, exactly. I've done there was a ceremony from this Venezuelan 5-MeO DMT called Yopo, and that sent me into a schizophrenic break for
Really?
I don't know, a couple hours. Yeah.
Okay, a couple hours.
Just a couple hours.
I was gonna say, wow, okay.
Enough-
You should talk to Nick. He's got some.
Yeah. It was enough to go, oh, my subconscious is completely chaotic and anything could happen, and it's all about letting go. And so just helping people just realize this will pass, feel it, just let it go and breathe.
Great.
Yeah.
So you're a good person to do that then. Okay. So you worked at Envision. You guys found, how did you find Alegria
Okay.
then?
Well, yeah.
'Cause you guys came here
I know we
to-
keep getting.
No, we'll get there. I'll keep us on track.
All right. Well, we went to Sarah Wu's Medicines from the Edge in that
Oh.
2016 trip because
Okay.
it was the only time that they would allow dogs at Punta Mona, and we had our dog with us and our 2-year-old.
It was the one that was at Punta Mona.
Yeah.
I did not go to that one.
Yeah, but everybody else did. We had Nikki was there, Mafita was there, Gustavo and Rosa.
Right.
And so we met all the people. We found out about the school, and that was in the very beginning.
Right, Casa Sula. That was like
Yeah.
the beginning, right?
And that was the only thing we knew about it. Okay, so fast forward to 2019. I had a really great year in San Francisco. I hooked up with a real estate agent, and I was busting out, 5 different remodels of kitchens and bathrooms at the same time.
Wow.
And
You were running crews, or you were like,
Yeah, I had 2 crews that
You were
I was
managing
running.
crews.
Managing
Okay.
crews, doing the administration. That's where I kind of cut my teeth on ordering, scheduling,
got it.
timelines, stuff like that, which is important to have that experience.
Yeah.
Um,
That's admin.
so I had a really great year. Suzanne and I decided to have another child, and a month later we had another child on the way. So, and I thought it would be really cool if for our last child rearing experience, that because I was working and Suzanne was homeschooling Creed, that he would be at this amazing school called Casa Sula that we could both approve of. So he could be away and I would be present for the last 3 months of the pregnancy and the first 3 months of her birth. So we planned a 6-month trip to La Ecovilla so Creed could be in the school and we could have a very safe and comfortable, romantic last
Okay.
childbirthing experience. And so we got here March 2nd. And then the world shut down on March 12th.
Right. That was right pre-COVID.
Right?
Or during
Pre-COVID.
COVID, right there.
Yeah, so we got locked down here.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really special because then we learned about Alegria. And because before we were always trying to move here. And back in 2019, I was like, I had one of those moments. I was sitting out on my surfboard just going like, what am I doing with my life? I've got like 20 more years of using my body, like, and I'm playing around, getting jobs here and there, living my present moment life, and like, I got a family. I need to go back. So I went back. And then here it's just like, oh, there's 140 lots, people ecologically minded. I have married my education in sustainability with my upbringing in construction with natural building. And it's just like, oh, it's a no-brainer. I bought a lot. That was pretty much all the savings I had. I bought a lot in Alegria, and we've been trying to make it ever since.
Yeah.
I went back once the borders opened, and I did another 6-month stint in busting out those remodels, and came back with enough money to build my house.
Great.
But timelines.
Okay.
I think Alegria, it was about 2 years past when they said we could get permits, and that's just how it is.
Yeah, you
never know.
There's no guarantees.
Yeah,
Timing.
Yeah, and everybody's very hopeful and wants to be optimistic, and I can appreciate that. But
so I'm guessing you showed up with the money to build, but then you had to keep your family alive until you actually got permits.
That's it.
And so you ran. By the time they were ready, you didn't have the money anymore.
Yeah.
When you're living hand to mouth a little bit, like that's sometimes what happens.
And that's exactly why I was like, do I get a loan? And then it was like it wasn't a hard no, but it's like, no, not yet. Maybe some other time when I'm a little more secure, when there's more people and things around. After building these 3 houses.
Which 3 houses?
Doug's house.
All right.
I framed up that, did a lot of the finishes. I didn't finish the house. I didn't totally finish it.
Right.
And then these 2 houses here.
Right.
For Russ and Valeria.
And
yeah.
Right. After
and so
building those.
I framed those up, got the roofs on.
Oh, you did the foundation and everything.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. But somebody else is finishing them.
Right. You seem to be that's how it's been so far, is like with those. But you also did DTOs, didn't you? He also hired you to do the Embody?
Embody the Yogashala.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
You did that?
Well, not exactly. I got the ball rolling.
Okay.
And as far as architecture, and hooked them up with the architect, and then Julian. He designed it.
Okay.
And then it was becoming clear that my crew could stay and work, and that I needed to, because they had a budget, and it was like we had to fit within the budget. So I just bowed out, and they ended up working with the Tico crew because DTO speaks Spanish, and so it was just like, all right, yeah, it doesn't. But why would I stick around?
So yeah, I mean, how do you find? I was curious about that. Like, what is the difference between running a crew in the U.S. and running a crew here, for instance? Because I think I see it as probably very different, the way the cultures work.
Yeah. There's a lot more, and I don't want to say, it's just differences, and there's validity and valor in both.
Of course, it's different.
But there's a lot more emphasis on pride in your work. In the Western world, and that you don't stop until you get it right. And if you're redoing something, it's because it's something you did and you eat that sort of thing. Whereas here, I'll give you an anecdote to understand this. It's like if there's a gap behind your countertop, in between the countertop and the wall, and the workers will be like, "Why do you care about that? Look at this place," right? They're like, "This is incredible. Look at the land. Look at where you're at. Why do you care?" And then, I mean, for me, as the boss, I'm like, "Well, that's the only thing that they do care about, is like that gap needs to be sealed up."
Right. You don't want water dripping through the back of your counter, it's flooding your floor. And I deal with that all the time. I don't even have a backsplash. I was just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Build it, whatever.
Yeah. So it's just that difference in mentality, because they grew up in, some of them dirt floors and corrugated walls. It's literally not in there. They don't see it as an issue or a problem.
So the details.
the details. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And you
So-
you mentioned that you wanted to, when we were talking about this, you were like, there was something about like how you work with people, or like the disassociation of, like, you said you saw a disassociation between natural building and the way people are approaching it. What did you mean by that?
Yeah, so I've got a theory, and it's just theory
Based on years of experience.
based on years of
But okay,
okay.
it's a theory.
All right. That the natural building and that desire to live a natural lifestyle doesn't really mesh with the current paradigm of how houses are built right now, by just, it's basically, I mean, to be crude, it's just throwing money at it and then moving in. Whereas a natural building naturally in a natural lifestyle takes a lot of care and a lot of thought. It's so much heart that only the person who's going to be living in it should be building it. And I know that that's a big statement.
I mean, not everybody can build.
Right. And it's a very,
But they should be a part of it, you think?
yeah, it's a very romantic idea, and that's why a lot of people are coming down here to live a more natural lifestyle. But really, like, living in a natural house is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so by the time you're done varnishing like these bamboo poles, you're coming back. You're sanding one pole and varnishing it a month, sort of thing, or you learned how to do your natural plaster because you're going to be sealing up cracks
Right.
throughout its life. It's a living and breathing thing.
Yeah.
And the other part is, if you are building it yourself, you start going, what do I really need this space for? What am I really going to be using it for? And how big do I really need this? Because it's 5 times the labor to put it together.
Right.
And then that forces you to be, okay, well, maybe I just want to sleep in my room, and I'll have my living room more outside. And then it forces you outdoors more and to be in nature more.
I've definitely had that experience, and I can concur. Like, can't speak if that works for everybody or if everybody can do that, but for me, that has helped me design and build. Everyone comes here, they're like, wow, I love this. It's because I've lived here while I was doing it, going like, wait a minute, I need that. Like, even having this separate kitchen here was like, wait a minute, I'm going to need another kitchen over here one day. It was like these little things that you can kind of like, or like, oh, I need a plug there. Like, you don't think about like the electrical when you're doing all these things. You just you hire somebody else to do it. They don't know your lifestyle. They don't know who you are. What are your needs?
Yeah.
If you're custom building a house, you want it to, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then not only that is your house is less a commodity at that point, with that little flip in the mind. And that's a difficult sell. So a lot of people come down here with that idea, and then they slow walk backwards into a more conventional house because it's low maintenance and the property value remains the same. The very first question is, okay, no, that sounds great. How long does it last? And it's like, well, how much are you willing to put into it? And so it narrows the prospective buyer group, your target audience, if you are planning on reselling after you build. So that's the paradigm that
I hate that whole thing. That to me is part of the antithesis of community. Is like, when you're thinking about resale, you're not thinking about building your home.
Yeah.
You're thinking about, how can I make money off of this? And this is the Western mindset that I moved here to get away from. And I'm sick. It makes me a little hurts me a little bit to see so much of it happening here.
Well, and that's why they're moving too. They don't even realize that they're bringing that
Capitalist mentality of like buying and reselling and renting and blah, blah, blah. It's like, that's not what community is. Community is living. And why are we here? Like, to live together, or to like make money and move on and keep doing that? Like,
it's a bit of a mind virus, but everybody moving here really wants that, and they want to change something. They see something they don't like enough to move their families and create a new branch on their family tree. I mean, really. And so it's just, it moves so slow, right? It's like the gears, the bigger gears and the smaller gears, and those are some of the slower mental ideas to change.
Yeah. Well, I think that's an important one. Kind of wish we'd started with that. There's a lot to talk about. We're running out of time. We didn't even talk about your relationship with Suzanne. I was like, I want to talk about Suzanne. I want to talk about you and the family. And
Well, I don't, because I know Suzanne would not
approve.
It's not okay to talk about her. I only can speak from my own experience.
Yeah.
With it, and it's,
no, I didn't want to talk about her. I want to talk about because I see you two, like everyone kind of has their role in this community, and for me, so much of it has been like you guys as the unit and the family unit, and like, we watch each other like a TV show. Like, what are those guys doing? What are those guys doing? And with you guys, for me, it's always been like the family unit trying to make it work with the family unit. Would that
while still growing and trying to find peace and trying to find yourself, it's interesting, and we're doing it in a very adventurous way, I would say, exploring all the options. And like, what does that feel like? Because Suzanne and I met when she was 21 and I was 26, so we were very young.
And you're now in your 40s or late 30s.
I'm 44, yeah, and Suzanne's in her last year of her 30s, and so there's a lot to grow and explore into as an adult, and accepting that, not being part of the conditioning of the expectations of what's been set before by the generations before, and it's a heavy load, but I feel like I'm here to break these ties and these ancestral traumas.
All right, so we're breaking patterns and teaching people how to break patterns with their homes, teaching people how to break patterns. You said the one last thing I want to talk about, because you said you're a sensitive man and you're bringing the sensitive man's perspective to both family and to building. What did you mean by that?
Well, it's I guess it just has to do with me personally and knowing myself, and what I'm learning about myself is being feeling like I'm extra sensitive to energies and in building the culture is very hard and crass, and it's because we're bringing an idea into the third dimension. It's somebody's house came out of an architect and a homeowner coming together with an idea, and I have tasked myself with bringing it into the third dimension, into something you can touch, feel, and that's a very hard thing, and you have to make hard decisions, and you have to crack the whip, a lot, and I feel like for me, I have to like cut certain parts off of myself in order to play that role, as being sensitive. And then the same with the family, especially accepting being adventurous and moving a lot. There's a lot of hard very concise decisions that have to be made, and I think for me, the sensitivity is an awareness of all sides and understanding all perspectives, and being more of like a peacemaker rather than a decision maker.
Ultimately, I think that is the natural role of a male, and it should be the natural role of a male. I think maybe we've forgotten what that means, what it means to be a man in our society. I mean, being sensitive, like somehow becoming, like being that became like, I think it's almost like that became the media's version of what men are, is like, and we kind of learned to be that from that. But the truth is, like, I mean, a good man is someone like, who are the good men in your life who you like respected? It's not the guy who's like the asshole, like,
right,
it's the guy who was like really kind to you and gentle to you, and like you saw creating solutions and like supporting things. Funny how we think of like the role, this kind of this symbolic male energy is like kind of like the. I mean, we protecting.
Protector. It's the warrior. That warrior spirit has kind of taken over, and and it's partly because it in the energetics, the women really swoon over that, and their bodies really respond to that sort of man,
Yeah,
and so we kind of
we have to fulfill that.
We got to fulfill that,
What's with that, bro? What's with that?
Yeah.
Ladies, go for the sensitive man. I think more and more. I think, I don't know. Maybe it's not all this, not all that, but
Yeah.
I don't think all ladies go for the hard, dirty man.
No, but like I said, it touches them somewhere in their bodies.
And if you want Joey to touch you somewhere in your body, no, I'm just kidding.
Well, it's that the warrior, it responds. The body responds to the warrior.
I see. It's protection. It's safety.
Yeah.
I think it's more safety, but that can come in a lot of different forms.
Yeah. Well, and like you were saying, that energy, the sensitive, that's like the grandfather energy. It like can make that hard decision, like, and then come up and be like, hey,
son, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's gonna be all right.
Yeah, but this is the line.
But this is the line. Grandpa knows best.
Yeah. And collapsing that into my midlife.
Gosh, Joey, I feel like we're just starting, but this is the time we're on timeline here. So, I want to say I wish you luck in California. You're going back to California?
Going back to California. Yeah.
You can make some money so you can come back here and build your dream home, being our neighbor here.
Yeah.
In Alegria. And thanks for making the time to come out here and talk to us a little bit.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Was there, if people want you to build or want your construction advice, you offer that as a service?
Yeah, I've got a sort of a consulting, client advocate sort of framework. So, yeah.
How can people reach you?
Well, just find me on any WhatsApp group around here in the Machuca
If you're
Valley.
local, if you need to get a hold of Joey and you want to learn more, you can reach out to me. He's not the online. You're on Instagram, aren't you?
Yeah. I guess so. I don't even know my handle though.
We'll post it in the link here. Thanks, brother. Thanks for coming, man.
Thank you.
All right. My guest today was Joey Carpenter. This is La Vida Verde podcast. We release episodes every Tuesday on YouTube. You can also find us on Apple Podcast or on Spotify if you want to listen to us. Want to say thank you to our sponsor this week, Guillaume Cellier, offering pain-free relief at home, a most exclusive massage experience. I will say I had a really great massage from Guillaume. I think you will really appreciate it.
I've had 3 from him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
Yeah, he is.
I really, yeah. Okay, good. Look at that. You can find us, if you want to support us, you can also just join our Patreon, and for just, whatever small amount of $5 a month or whatever more, you can support this a little bit at a time. We are on YouTube at La Vida Verde, at La Vida Verde podcast. We are on Instagram at Finca Vida Verde CR. We're on Facebook at Finca Vida Verde. And we want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Ecoteas Yerba Mate for sending me mate, keeping me charged. And we'll see you next time. Pura vida.